Welcome to the Garlic Marketing Show. Ian Garlic here, and today we are going to talk about EOS again, our continuing series, and how EOS can help you to work with the right people. Not just, marketing is great, but working with the right people is super important. I've got an awesome guest, Aaron Purkeypile. I didn't even confirm that that's how you
nailed it.
But we're talking a little bit about basketball. I love basketball, and we're going to talk about some other fun things today. But before we get started, remember that Garlic Market Show is brought to you by storycruise.com, the ultimate resource for finding videographers, editors, and marketers that know how to make videos that convert, that get you business. And one of the most powerful tools, whether you're a gym, a consultant, or a business, are your video case stories, not testimonials. They'll 4 to 10x your sales marketing campaigns if you do them right. Just go to storycruise.com/EOS to learn how to do them right and find all the right resources. Storycruise.com/EOS. All right, Aaron Purkeypile, let's talk. Thanks for being on. Tell us a little bit about your journey to becoming an EOS implementer, and then we'll get into how you helped really expand a gym during COVID and the pandemic. So tell me a little bit about that journey.
So I've done a lot of different things in my life. I went to school for accounting and worked in public accounting initially. And then some life things happened. My dad went through a bone marrow transplant for leukemia. So my wife and I had moved back home to where they live in Kansas City. And then from there, we just kind of traversed the United States. We lived in upstate New York for 3.5 years. And then we moved to Southwest Michigan for a year. We moved to Seattle for a year. And then eventually moved back to Lincoln, where we live now, so I could teach accounting. And so I along the way, I was learning all sorts of different things. I was learning about leadership, and I was learning about how to run organizations really, really well, and also how to run them really poorly. And when I was back at the school I was teaching at, I got a chance to coach basketball, which was it was an awesome opportunity because you learn so much about how individuals work together and finding ways to motivate, because not everybody's motivated by the same thing. So looking for the way to motivate and challenge and build up the spirit of your players and your athletes or your team members while still basically holding them accountable and challenging them. Kind of near the end of when I started to get a little bit antsy. I wanted to get back into business instead of just teaching about it. And so I got hooked up with a local micro gym, a CrossFit gym, wearing the shirt. Lincoln Nutrition and Fitness is what we're called now. And so I started to talk to their ownership group, and I was like, hey guys, I have my summer's free. Is there anything I can do to help you guys out? And so I started from the bottom. I just was painting the rooms and cleaning or fixing things. And then eventually they said, hey, we'd really like to update our website. Well, I'm an accountant, so I don't know anything about websites. But I'm like, well, I'll tell you what, I'll figure it out. Like, I'll learn. I love to learn. And from that, it became very clear that they needed more than just a website. They needed kind of an internal structure change. And so I got invited into that kind of leadership circle to kind of start working on the innards of the business and the kind of behind the scenes stuff. And in the middle of all of that, I was introduced by another friend of mine to EOS. And I read Get a Grip. I read Traction. I immediately hopped on a EOS implementer. Like they do a call, like, what does it take to become an EOS implementer? And I was hooked because it brought all of the things, it brought all of the concepts that I had learned as an undergraduate business. I had my MBA. They cover all of these concepts. They're quoting Patrick Lencioni and they're quoting Jim Collins, but the tools that they brought out really solidified for me, like, this makes so much sense. I'm not reading a book and hopefully, picking one thing out. Business owners do this all the time. I'll read a book and I'm like, oh shit, I should maybe try to do that. And then they kind of halfway do something for a little while, and then they move on and they read another book and they try to implement something else. But this pulled everything together, right? The EOS system pulls all of the things together to make sure that you're on the right, everybody's on the same page of where you're trying to go, and that you have the right people on board, and it clarifies your core values. I just love the system. You're measuring things instead of just kind of flying by the seat of your pants. And, you know, a lot of the clients that I've worked with they're like, yeah, I think we're making money, but they're not really sure. And, you know, and we sold some stuff this month, so I think we're good. And
that's so common.
The accountant in me is just cringing, like, you should know what you're doing.
Yeah, it's such a problem.
Yeah, so going through this process, it really helped the leadership team of that micro gym get a clear picture of where they wanted to go, and it became clear that the ownership group wasn't all on the same page, and that resulted then eventually in them splitting up, and one of the owners bought the gym outright. And that's when I got to come on board as a fractional integrator for them. And now I've served as their fractional integrator / director of operations. But what it really did for our gym over the last year, especially, when we became really clear of what we wanted to be really good at, it helped us strip away some overhead that, you know, we were in a pretty big building. I think we had 10,000 square feet, which is really big for a CrossFit gym.
Yeah. Wow.
And we split off, or we basically got out of part of that. Our building was kind of split up into 4 different rooms. So we were able to get out of the lease on part of it because it became very clear that we wanted to focus on coaching and have a high touch service with our clients. And without EOS, we wouldn't have known that. We would have just continued to do the same thing that we've always done and just bled money into a space that wasn't really giving us any return. And in a similar scenario, last year, we shut down our gym for 8 weeks due to COVID. And part of our focus on coaching then allowed us to start connecting with members on a weekly or bi-weekly basis via text or via phone call. And on top of that, we really started to ramp up our personal training. Most CrossFit gyms will offer a personal training, but most of it is a group fitness class. It's the community that comes with CrossFit is very open, and you want to have a lot of people, you know, together and celebrating each other. But it allowed us to really move into a place where we were providing personal training and one-on-one services, because that's really what we felt comfortable being able to do during COVID. So our gym was closed to group classes. We moved all the group classes to Zoom, but then we were able to really ramp up our personal training. And so what we saw is a shift then in our gym, in our revenue. Our revenue was the second highest annual revenue we've ever had in the gym. And a lot of that was from EOS helping us clarify what it is specifically that we wanted to accomplish, who we loved to work with, and then who specifically we needed to target when we would market what we offered, and telling the right story to those people.
Nice.
I just talked a whole lot.
No, that's awesome. And I think that's important, you know, because I mean, obviously we love storytelling, and, you know, we do it through video, and Story Cruise helps people find those videographers to find those stories. But really the first part is who do you want to tell a story to?
Yeah.
Right? That's so crucial. And so many people don't get that part. So what was that process like of figuring out who you wanted to work with, who they wanted to work with?
That's a great question. It's been an iteration. So we started the EOS process 3 years ago, and who our target market, which is what we call it in EOS, our target market, the people that we want to work with has changed. But as we started to, after the ownership change, we kind of revisited the whole Vision Traction Organizer, that document that houses all of this stuff, and dug back in of, you know, who are the people that we love to work with. So we kind of did it two different ways. We just had all of our coaches put on a list. All right, make a list of the 5 or 8 people that when they walk into the gym, you're excited to see them. They bring energy. You love to see them. It's not one of those people that you just kind of like, oh crap, they're here today, right? Who are those people that you love to work with? And then on the other side of that, we also went to our client management software, our CRM, and did a query to figure out who had the highest lifetime value to us. So who had spent the most money in our gym, who brings us joy. And we tried to marry those two together. And it helped us kind of flesh out the target, like in our minds, and to help everybody. Oh, we want Marys and we want Jacks, but we don't want Bill, right? And we don't want Karen. Well, we had a lady named Karen and we loved her, so that's probably not a good reference. But you know what I'm talking about. Every business owner I've talked to, when I say you could probably tell me right now, if you never had to see them or talk to them ever again, you would be thrilled, right? And sometimes we keep them around because we feel like we need that income, we need the revenue from them, and a lot of times they're a bigger piece of your business, and it's kind of scary to think about what do we do if we get rid of them. But once we clarified who we are with our core values and who we liked to work with and who we didn't, it led to a pretty challenging decision, but we ended up firing some clients from our gym that didn't fit what we were trying to go or where we were trying to grow. And that was a wild time. That was about 2.5, 3 months of heartache, because they came back with a vengeance, and, all their, posting things on social media and sending their friends to review our gym with 1-star reviews. People, we're getting reviews from people I've never even seen at the gym or don't even live in our area. And so that was kind of wild. But
yeah,
but I think what that did was set us up to be so much stronger when we hit. That was the summer of 2019. When 2020 rolled around, the people that were left were people that believed in what we were trying to do at the gym, right?
Nice.
Our purpose statement, which is what we developed with EOS, is to positively impact and change people's lives by creating a strong, brave, healthy community through coaching and education, right? So that's what we want to do. And every decision that we make, whether that's whether we're going to offer more classes or we're going to hire more coaches, whether we're going to market to who we're going to market to, we want people to understand that when they come in, we are going to connect with them on a really personal level, so that we can positively impact and change their lives, and reciprocally, they're going to positively impact and change our lives.
Love it. I love it. There's so much to unpack there, but I think it's an important story. But I want to back up a little. It's interesting that, you got this bad social media, right? And a lot of people are like, oh, I can't handle that. First of all, how did you fire the clients? And then second of all, how did you handle the bad social media? Because I also think that on the flip side, that's a sign that those people need to go anyways.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So it's like you break up with someone and they're all of a sudden start talking bad about you. That was a sign that needed to happen.
Yeah.
But how did you do it? Did you take them into a room and go, hey, it's you, not me?
That's a great question. So there were 2 or 3 that were kind of at the pinnacle of a group of folks. And, we would have members that would say they were uncomfortable when these members were in the gym, or, some of our coaches from the past had said, I don't enjoy being in the gym coaching when these individuals are there. And so we had conversations with them before. It wasn't like this is the first time. And it had been kind of rocky, and it had been kind of up and down. And so, yeah, we called them into an office and just said, hey, you know what? It's probably better if you go to a different facility. Like, you're not happy here. We're not happy here. Like, let's just, we'll refund you this month, and, we'll just, go our separate ways.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so that was an interesting meeting.
Yeah, that takes cojones.
Yeah. And so then, the social media blew up, and there were members who were still around who supported the decision. And so, they took it upon themselves to go out and write 5-star reviews to try to counteract, or they got into it on social media. But from our standpoint, we basically just posted a statement that said, I don't remember exactly what it said, but basically to the effect of, when someone would write a bad review about us, we would say, I would respond and say, we are going to make decisions to create basically a place where our members feel comfortable being, and we don't apologize for that. We didn't need to engage in specifics with people on social media or in Google reviews. You're not going to change anybody's mind. And, we didn't, I try to be careful how much I say. A couple of the members that we asked to leave took it a completely different way from what the actual issue was. And they made it sound like they were dismissed for political beliefs and things like that, which had zero to do with why we dismissed them. And so there are things that we learned from that, though, that I wish that we would do different, that I think that we would do different. And part of the issue came from, we didn't do a really good job early on of having better communication when we had issues with somebody. We just kind of let it fester and stick around and stick around and stick around. I will say this about EOS. One of the 6 key components for EOS is an issues list. And every week you're looking at this issues list and trying to solve the most important things. And then there's part of the level 10 meeting that you have every week. There's people headlines where you are, talking about good and bad things from your employees and your clients. And I guarantee you that if we had used EOS, long before this had all happened, we would have addressed the issue before it got to this place where all of a sudden now it blows up into a much bigger thing. And instead of putting Band-Aids on problems, you're actually digging in and actually trying to get the problem solved.
Yep.
I would say that if anybody starts getting poor reviews, if it's warranted, it's very important that you get out in front of it and try to connect with that person offline. Don't try to litigate your side of the story in Google reviews. There's a company here locally who I just remember after getting all these bad reviews, I was like, I want to know what other people are rated, right? And so I just kind of started scrolling, and I heard about this bike shop in town that had really terrible reviews, and people would write in the review like, the owner's such a jerk, and blah, 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 and I just went in for a bike for my kid, and he basically didn't even talk to me, and
no soup for you.
Yeah, and then the owner would write back and be like, well, I didn't want you to be here anyway. Like, wow, it was crazy. I think knowing what you want from your business and knowing what you stand for it's not the only comfort, but it's really helpful to know those things when you're going through crappy moments like that. It can be really hard to weather that storm if you don't know why you're doing what you're doing.
My name is Gino Wickman. I decided that I want to start to put great video content out to the world. And so the goal was one great video every week. And so I was introduced to Ian, and that's what brought me into this video world and got me embracing this video world and having a great strategy around putting videos out to the world, because there's so much more than just shooting a video. And so the way that he positions those videos, optimizes those videos, he's done a great job.
Yep. Yeah, I think it's so important, and it'll allow you to get through because otherwise, I mean, you're sitting there going, why I want to quit, right? Because you don't have any direction, and you're like, man, these people are horrible, and you focus on the bad people. And and it's scary. You said, I think that's an important thing with the issues list. Now let's look positive, right? Yep. And say, what were your keys then, from a marketing perspective? What were some of the key things that you did in 2020, and how did you implement them? Because here's the other thing with EOS too, right? It's a planning thing, right? It's a quarterly, and it's adapting, but it's, you got to sit down, and with everything that happened, you had to do it fast.
Yeah.
How did you figure out and what worked and what didn't work?
We spend a lot of our resources on social media marketing. So mostly Instagram and Facebook. A couple of our members own a video studio, and so they've helped us craft what we have an athlete of the month, and they've helped us work with those. We have a podcast that they record for us, and then we put out called CrossFit Linking Connections. What worked was when we started posting posts about our athletes rather than a Canva post that you kind of created that's impersonal. When people want to see themselves when they're working out in the gym. I have a buddy who told me people feel sheepish about posting about themselves. But when the gym posts about them, they're happy to share that to their pages, and they're happy to send their friends to go look at it. When they're athlete of the month, you'll see them share the link to their podcast, video podcast, so that their friends can hear it and things like that. But it's almost like they're a little bit nervous or shy to share that on their own. And so what worked for us from a marketing standpoint was just flooding the zone, what I would say, with positive stories of people that were showing up consistently and working hard. That's kind of our target market, is the 25 to 55-year-old men and women in the Lincoln, Nebraska area who are hardworking, consistent, and have positive attitude. That's who we want to work with. And so we try to highlight those people on a regular basis. So our coaches with the group coach, with our group classes, they're all responsible for posting one member from their class every single week and highlighting somebody new, right? So today's post was a guy named Clayton who just joined the gym a month ago. He owns a construction company, and the coach basically just gave him a shout out on Instagram and Facebook and said, "Hey, here's Clayton. He's been here every day for a month, and he's starting to get better, and you see him doing ring pull-ups." We have a lady who's in personal training. Her name's Kathy. I love this lady, so positive. But she had just retired in March or April, I think, of 2020. And so she was supposed to go on a cruise to Greece for 6 weeks or something. But the cruise got canceled because of COVID. And so she turned around and took that money and was like, well, I'm going to start personal training. And, she had a hard time getting around and moving. And now she's in the gym 3 or 4 days a week and lifting weight that she never thought she could. She's retired. But so we highlight those stories because we just love to see how people's attitude and their physical health and their mental health all changes when they start to be consistent moving. So when we find that there are posts that have been really highly engaged with and people start to share them, then we usually put a little bit of money behind that to boost that because it's already content that it's obvious that people have enjoyed. Yes. We do have a couple evergreen ads that just continually run. And we're still, some of them haven't worked. We have a nutrition program, and we had run some ads what I love about Facebook is it will automatically A/B test things for you if you put different creative with it or different media with it. And so it'll run different media or different creative or different pictures with your copy. And so I still haven't found I would say that didn't work for me. I still haven't found good copy for our nutrition program to help people understand what it is that they would be getting when they're doing that. And a lot of it is just the accountability. We're habits-based. We want to help teach people to fish rather than, giving them a fish, kind of an idea when it comes to nutrition. A lot of people have a really negative interaction or a negative experience with food or negative relationship with food. And we want to help change that through changing their habits incrementally, instead of just basically saying, all right, we're going to starve you for the next 3 months and you'll lose a lot of weight. And then when we're done, you'll gain it all back because you just want to eat everything that you didn't get to eat before. And we avoid that like the plague. I don't know if I should say like the plague in the middle of COVID. I don't know if that's probably appropriate.
Well, we're hopefully avoiding the plague like the plague.
I avoid that like COVID.
Oh, that's hilarious. It's interesting. Yeah. And copy is tough, and people testing is so important, and people don't realize the copy, but you're leaps ahead if you know who exactly you're talking to.
Yeah.
One of the other things I always talk about too is, you have to know their situation, that moment that they're in, because COVID is a different situation, and you talked about that. But it's really, really interesting that you do this. And how are you, when you get into deciding what to focus on, obviously EOS is about focus, and especially in your marketing, how are you all prioritizing and deciding that in your meetings?
Like, how do we prioritize the marketing?
Yeah.
In our meetings?
Yeah. Because you can't do everything at once.
Right. So last year, that's a good question. That's a really good question. So one thing that EOS did for us as a company, it allowed us to say, we, in the last year, we changed to Lincoln Nutrition and Fitness because we wanted people to recognize, and we're home of CrossFit Lincoln. We wanted people to recognize that A, we have nutrition, and B, we think it's so important that we put it in our name. Last year, at our annual meeting, EOS has this quarterly cadence where you're having a meeting every quarter. It's a full day session where you're just basically revisiting the vision, you're revisiting core values, making sure everybody's on the same page. And then at the annual, it's usually a 2-day session. So at our 2-day session at the end of 2019, we looked at what happened in 2019, started to look forward through 2020 and what we wanted to do. And we circled personal training as a goal for us to establish in the gym. And so we pushed a lot more marketing dollars towards personal training. We reached out to clients in the gym. Early on, we offered some promotionals for folks to buy one session and get one free. We handed out cards to our athletes that were kind of our favorite people and said, hey, give this to a friend for a free personal training session, right? So we worked with some affinity marketing, some face-to-face, like, we like you, your friends are probably just like you, we'd love more of people just like you, give this to them. When we did focus and target things on Facebook or Instagram, we were really highlighting that personal training. And this year it's for nutrition. And so we're starting to do that same thing where our coaches, when they meet with goal review sessions with the athletes, they're talking through, where are you at, what's working, what's not working. And if it seems like nutrition would be that missing piece for them, they're going to talk to them about that. We're making it very clear and very obvious when people request pricing. We have packages that are set up with fitness and nutrition. It's not just one or the other, and it shifts all the time, right? So we try things for a quarter, and if we aren't moving the bar, we aren't moving the needle, we have that conversation at the quarterly where we get to kind of check that quarterly issues list, say, all right, we haven't really moved the needle yet. What's the next thing that we can try? What's the next step for us to try to grow specific areas of the business?
Nice. And so now now you're growing the business and 2021's coming out. What do you see as like your main focuses this year, from a business standpoint and especially a marketing standpoint, now that, everything's shifted and everything's changed? What are your big moves?
I think a lot of people want things to go back to quote unquote normal, and it's going to take longer than people want, but it will come. It will feel like it takes longer than it probably does. We're starting to see people who are tired of being in quarantine or tired of being not around people, who are like, you know what, I gained that COVID-19 pounds and I'm ready to shed that. Or what's been great about kind of narrowing our focus and cutting down our space and cutting down our size, it's allowed us to be a little more direct when we meet with people. And it feels like a little more, what am I trying to say? Inclusive is not the right word, but it feels like a tighter knit space. Mm-hmm. So if you've been out, or if you've been quarantined a long time, or you've been really avoiding people, our space allows us to have you train in a safe spot where, if you feel comfortable taking your mask off, you can, because there's not going to be people nearby. There's plenty of social distance. And I think helping people feel comfortable and safe in a gym space. There's been plenty of reports of, I'm probably highly attuned to when there are news reports that come out of whether there are outbreaks in a gym, or whether there's people that are arguing that gyms are the safest place to be. And it's like, which news outlet or which YouTube video am I watching determines whether I think it's safe or not. So just I think helping people see other individuals who have started in the midst of COVID or at the beginning of 2021, and have them start to see that things have shifted and moved for them, and that it's been safe for them to be at the gym. A lot of what we want to do is create a thought that it's safe to be in our space to work out, and we can help you achieve whatever it is the goal is that you have for yourself. That's kind of been our messaging when it comes to when I'm doing calls with people, or when people come into the gym, or when I'm interacting on social media with people, we're trying to create content that people can see that it is safe to be in the gym.
Nice. That's fantastic. Awesome. And so now you're doing fractional integrator work as well, correct?
That's correct. That's correct.
Let's get into how would someone work with you? What kind of companies do you work with? And what does that mean to be a fractional integrator for them?
So I would say that I'm an implementer first, and then I'm a fractional integrator at the gym. So if someone was going to engage with me, it would be as an implementer, helping them go through and implement the EOS tools in their business. But there are companies out there that just do fractional integrating. So for a lot of small businesses, it's tough to provide a competitive salary for someone to work full time. A lot of times that integrator role is what people would consider a COO or a president, if there's a CEO up above, right? So they're kind of the day-to-day. They help make sure that the key functions in the business are working well together and harmonious. They're removing obstacles. They're helping make sure that the sales and marketing function, the operations function or functions, and the finance function, they're all kind of working together and kind of, they're the traffic cop, and so to speak. And every company is unique in how they set up that accountability chart, because everybody's has different divisions and they have a different way that they've done business. But basically, the EOS model talks about how there's really only three major functions in a business: that sales and marketing function. So how do we go out and get leads? How do we close those leads? The operations function or functions: how am I producing my goods, or how am I delivering the services to our clients? And then the finance function, which usually houses IT and HR and all of those things. And you want to have all of those strong, and that integrator is who comes in and makes sure that those others are playing nice and have the momentum that they need, have everything that they need to do that. So if someone was going to engage with me, what I'm going to do is come in and help them build that accountability chart. I'm going to help them learn how to set up this quarterly and then weekly cadence so that they have an absolute pulse of what's going on in their business, or helping develop and kind of flesh out the core values and what we call core focus. So what is it that you're the best at and want to be the best at over any of your competitors or anything like that? Helping them set a 10-year target, so that bigger kind of long-term goal that everybody gets excited about when they show up at work. Helping them develop their own target market list of people that they want to work with. And that's specifically, where do they live? So demographic, psychographic, and geographic list of people that they want to work with. So they're really laser focused on who they like to work with. And I'll tell you right now, it might shrink your client list. It might help you get rid of some people that you're tired of working with. But ultimately, you're a whole lot happier if you're able to clean that up. They're going to identify three uniques. So what is it about? What are the three things that set them apart from their competitors? So your competitors might have one or two of these things, but they don't have all three. And it really helps when you're selling to your clients and you're having those conversations, those sales meetings with your clients, or setting up your marketing, you're able to highlight these things that set you apart. And the people that you've targeted that with that list are going to resonate with what sets you apart. So it marries the two together really, really well. And then we encourage people to have a proven process, like it's a one-page document that helps people understand that so for example, at Lincoln Nutrition and Fitness, if I come in for my no sweat intro, and then I go through our foundations and I go through our foundations and I start with nutrition, and then I get into my group classes, or I start doing personal training. And then I just go through this cycle like this. I'm going to see how things are going. We're going to prescribe any changes that need to happen. And then I'm just going to keep seeing results over and over and over again. So it's just this one page. This is the EOS process, proven process right here. It starts with a 90-minute meeting. And then there's a focus day. And then you've got the 2 vision building days. And then similar to ours at the gym, you just get into this quarterly kind of cadence where you're every 90 days, you're checking out, how did we do last quarter? Oh, it was a C or is a B. What do we need to fix? All right, let's look ahead and see what we need to fix, so that you're always progressing. And it doesn't mean that you're always growing revenue or anything like that. What I tell business owners is I help you get what you want from your business. So if you want more revenue, EOS can help with that. If you want more time with your family, EOS can help with that. If you want less time with your family, Probably not the best fit. But it just, you know, if you want to sleep better at night because you're less worried about whether things are getting done in your business, if you're not doing them, that's going to help with that.
Love it. Yeah. I mean, it's crucial. It changes businesses. You know, I've interviewed so many people that run EOS, and it just transforms businesses. And
absolutely. That's what I love to do.
Yeah.
I love to help people. I love to help business owners fall back in love with their business.
Awesome. Well, we can find you at what's your website again? yourgrowthguide.com.
That's right. yourgrowthguide.com.
And what's the best way to get in touch with you directly? LinkedIn?
LinkedIn would be awesome, or you can email me, Aaron@yourgrowthguide.com.
Nice.
Either of those would be great. Yeah, love to connect with folks.
Awesome. Yeah, make sure to connect with Aaron. Aaron, this has been fantastic. Thank you so much for being on the Garlic Marketing Show.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me, Ian. It's been a blast.
Nice. Well, great job, and I really appreciate it. And hopefully you all take some of this stuff away, especially if you have a gym. If you're feeling trapped, if you feel like your business is not moving the direction you want, EOS can help. Reach out to Aaron. Obviously, he's had a lot of success. He did it during COVID, which was a tough time for gyms. I think it's like the New York of gyms, right? If you can do it then, you can do it anywhere. But thanks again, Aaron, for being on, and thank you all for listening and watching. If you're watching this on YouTube, if you're not watching on YouTube, make sure to go subscribe at cruisetube.com. We've got a lot of things coming out there, but thank you all for watching. And this has been Ian Garlic and the Garlic Marketing Show.